Any of you adoptees realize, or should I say, um, any of you transracial adoptees ever realize that your white adoptive family is racist? And I just got a question. How old were you when you finally realized that? And what did it do to you psychologically? And how did you handle it? And how long did it take you to finally accept? I started realizing my adoptive family was racist. It started with my adoptive father. Uh, the comments he would make when I was like 6. It all started with a black Santa Claus that he got. Basically, it was a black Santa Claus and it would shake its hips. But I found that rather offensive because they were laughing at it, but it wasn't a kind of like whole, good-hearted laughter. It was a different type of laughter, like a mocking laughter. And it was just a little start, and it took me a lot longer to realize that my whole adoptive family was basically anti-black. But what stopped me from realizing that was the fact: why would I be adopted, and why would they adopt me if they didn't like black people? That doesn't make any sense at all. But I had no idea about narcissism, about black children as trophies, about white saviorism. Basically white people adopting black because they can. It's, I spoke in my previous video as some mark of their dominance. I didn't know anything about that, so I thought to myself, they can't be racist because they adopted me. Boy, was I wrong. As an adult, I realized that um, they're all racist. Like, I rent a room from my adoptive sister and her husband, only because I have nowhere else to go. And they're the just most horrible white trash, and their daughter is so racist, and her brother, they're just the racist white trash. Um, I literally pulled her husband out of a tub when he fell, help him out all the time, but he still finds the need to call me a Porsche monkey and the N word. And so the ancestors got on his ass. He ended up falling, having to go to the hospital. He's still in the hospital now. But just the fact that the rest of my adoptive family supports him in the hospital, no questions asked, lets me know that there's a little bit of him in each and every one of them. Uh, Between my teens and after, they would send me out to jobs and get mad at me when I quit, but won't want to talk about on-the-job racism. I always found that weird. Why we never talked about on-the-job racism. It's just little blocks, basically, to have me realize that they're anti-black. The adoptive siblings actually adopted themselves, a kid from China, a kid from Russia, but basically white, not another black child. So I was basically alone to deal with their racism and the racism outside. And that was very traumatic because these people are supposed to be my family, my world. So that on top of the primal wound trauma, is just, people wonder why I'm so crazy. But now I realize that the best thing to do with not only they're racist, they're narcissists. Best thing I can do is just to get the psychological help I need, therapy, the time alone and just to go no contact. But in order for me to do that, I got to be in the right place financially. I didn't want to face it. I didn't want to face it that they were all racist. I didn't want to face it because I loved them. Well, they're what I knew, and I loved a lot of them. But as soon as I realized that none of them would ever, I know I say this in a lot of videos, but none of them would ever take up for me against another white family member. Or if they did, they wouldn't do that in my presence. So I don't know about it. Also, with my adoptive mother, things would happen in school, and I would tell her, and she didn't really get bothered by it. Like one of the students writing the N word on the chalkboard, private Catholic school. My adoptive mother, adoptive father didn't get angry about that. Seems like the only time they quote unquote get angry about me facing racism is performative, because it feels like they got to follow a script. And then when I realized that what a real family is, that a family has an emotional stake in the child, usually, I realized that this is all fake. It's like when Neo wakes up from the Matrix. You finally get a look of that fog, and you finally get a look out of the fog, and you look around. You're like, okay, you're racist. You're racist. Why does nobody talk to me unless they feel like they have to at these family parties? Why do I spend most of these family parties just sitting by myself? Why do they never talk to me about owning a business or financial things? Why has none of my adoptive siblings ever tried to get me a job where they're at? Why do they never talk about slave revolts or black history? Because they don't have to. White privilege says they don't have to. And they resent my adoption. But my adoptive mother wanted to save a black kid. Best thing to do. But the problem is, though, I was so invested in them emotionally. I wish I wasn't, because then I could have been building my own thing. I was told to go to college, even though I had no idea what I wanted to do, just a head case. Get a job. That's it. That's their advice. Go to college, get a job. Not, well, what do you feel destined to do? You know, what skills do you have? What do you feel more? What did your biological mother and father do? They never spoke to me about my biological mother and father, except that my biological father was tall and handsome, and my biological mother was short. That was it. They never bothered to talk to me about anything else about them. So I felt like I was just kind of like a possession, a job to raise, a challenge. That's basically it. I was famous on the Oprah show for being adopted with them. Then it was just a challenge. But family is more than that. Finally realized family is more than that. They were never my true family. But they were only a means for my survival, so I had to play the game. And I played it. But now as an adult, I can't be that false person anymore because it's too traumatic. It's manifesting in bodily illnesses. So I got to be true to myself now. If I ever want to find a significant other, I have to be true to myself and I have to love myself, which is really tough. Because subconsciously, being around all that racism, you take in a lot of it and then you start to hate yourself. White people should be put through the ringer if they want to adopt a black child. There should be tests that white people go through to test their psychology, to test their knowledge of black culture. if in any way them or their natural children are deemed to not be pro-black, yes, pro-black, even to the point to where they might lose the rest of their friends or whatever, then they shouldn't be allowed to adopt a black child. They have to be pro-black. Well, that's anti-white. That's some mayonnaise shit. No, just because you're pro-black doesn't mean you're anti-white. That's just a mayonnaise troll response. But yeah, my adoptive family is anti-black, and I was wondering if in the rest of your, and I've heard some other adoptees say the same thing. A couple of other adoptees say the same thing, but no one has the guts to check these white people. They have all the smoke for black parents with CPS, but they don't have the smoke. Maybe that was why I was taken away from the home, because the state realized how racist they really were. Maybe, but of course, me being young, I just needed a stable home. But now as an adult, I have lots of retrospective. For me, all white people are racist. You're gonna have to prove to me that you're not racist, because I've been around a lot of white people. You know, all white community. I say the same thing so many times: all white school, all white church. None of them ever stuck up for me. Well, one of them, but that's out of how many white people that I met. And that one only stuck up for me because it was just a case of blatant racism. So some idiots driving by screaming the N word. But as far as my vocation, as far as helping me find my way, no. Even my karate teacher, piano teacher, they were racist as well. I just didn't have the heart to see it. No one is ever going to challenge their white privilege on my behalf. So again, I was just an object. I was a challenge. I was a possession. But I hope to one day have a family of my own, black family, so that I can stop pretending, stop with this false self, and white people can do whatever the hell they want away from me.